We got Brian in the house. Brian, say hi.
Hola.
Brian, I'm just going through the mic of the phone today.
Okay.
So they're going to hear you as well as me.
I sure hope so.
Actually, they're going to hear you even better, unless I project my voice a lot like that, Vincent Vega. I wanted to go over something because I was... I want to go over something because I was doing my Patreon live stream right before this, and we had a nice little group gathered, and there were some cool topics that, I've covered before, but I've also made thousands of videos. So I thought there was a really cool concept I wanted to at least remind you guys of. And of course, the title of the video and the thumbnail, you got to go with that, is this brand new Les Paul here. This is Les Paul Special, and it's in what's called TV yellow. And as far as I know from the guitar experts that know about this stuff better than me, it's called TV yellow because this particular shade looked really good in black and white television. So TV yellow meant that it had a nice, it popped in black and white. I mean, obviously it would look like some kind of grayish hue, but nonetheless, it's called TV yellow. Now, the Les Paul Special is it's mahogany wood, and what you get different than a classic Les Paul is a Les Paul has a maple cap on top of this piece of wood. So with the Special, you don't get that. So it's more simple. It's a flat piece of wood. It's not arched. And then also, which does make it a bit lighter. Also, there's no, binding and trim. And then you have, this particular one has P90 pickups, which are more humbuckery than a single coil and less humbuckery than a humbucker. Does that make sense?
No.
Yeah, not to you, Brian. Good point. And also, give it up for Brian, you guys. He adjusted the phone to make the angle right after he hit record. So you're doing it, man. You're doing it. Congrats. P90s are just raunchier. I mean, man, they are so cool. So another cool thing about this particular guitar, and I said this in the live stream I did for Gibson, was I graduated college in 97, and I got a part-time job. I was playing in a band already, and then I got a part-time job at the music store there in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It is still there. It's called the Candyman, Strings and Things. Shout out to the Candyman, Santa Fe, New Mexico. But I worked there for a year and a half or so, and they had this exact, not this one, but this exact model, color, the P90s, the whole thing was on the wall, and it was the whole time that I worked there, it was my go-to guitar to grab and play when I should have been working instead. But that was the guitar, and so I always fantasized about having it. And the only reason I didn't get it back then is, one, I couldn't afford it, and two, I chose to get, as I saved my money up and traded other guitars I had in, I decided to go for a 335, which was just a little bit more versatile for me at the time, and that was kind of my ultimate dream guitar. But this was like the sentimental guitar, the color, the P90s, the whole thing, and I always thought back on it. And so when I finally got it from Gibson, it just kind of brought that all full circle. So it's pretty cool. Brian is watching the comments, and he sees, he's watching the stream and everything. So if you guys have important questions, maybe Brian will see it and relay it back to me. Brian, any important things I'm missing right now?
Are P90s the standard on that model, on a special, or?
I feel like they are. It's only one email away. Oh, we're freezing there? I'm freezing on mine, but does it look okay there? Okay. Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, so what we're asking about, are P90s normal?
On the special.
I believe so. And then you've got the other Les Paul that doesn't have the cap and the binding is the Les Paul Junior. That might be the one that has humbuckers,
What kind of difference are you going to get without that cap?
Well, I don't know if you're truly going to get tonal differences. You might get more resonance with the cap. But more than anything, I mean, there's more wood, there's more craftsmanship involved. You've got binding, which is also an aesthetic thing that's more complex. So it makes it a more expensive guitar. But ultimately, I don't know how. You'll definitely hear a difference between a P90 and a humbucker more than you would if it was a full, Les Paul standard to a Les Paul special.
Lynn's Chubbs wants to know, what type of music can you play on that guitar? Why would you grab that guitar?
Well, one thing that's cool is, if you're recording music, you typically have more than one guitar part. So it's just hits different frequencies than a Stratocaster with single coils, and it tends to hit different frequencies than what you would hear in a humbucker. So ultimately, it's just a different flavor, a different color. But when you're mixing different guitars, you have one part with a single coil Strat, and then another part with P90s. They really sound different, and they also cover different ranges of the frequency spectrum. Now, as far as like famous songs that have P90s, I mean, everyone has songs with P90s on it at some point or another. It could be blended with other single coil and humbucker style guitars. But I feel like Black Keys probably use P90s a lot. In fact, there's usually some pretty good guitar geeks tuning into these things. So if any of you guys out there can think of like a classic P90s riff or a P90s player, let us know in the comments. Okay, so one thing I thought would be cool, because it's been popular with the Gibson live streams I've been doing, is me playing rhythm and you guys soloing along. However, some of you out there are more beginner and maybe aren't working on your soloing, or you have an acoustic guitar and you're working on basic chords, etc. So I want us all to play together. We got a super chat. Sonny, appreciate that. Does my Les Paul ever make the blood vessels in my right thigh feel like they're going to explode? I don't think so, but I've had, just from gigging so much in my past, kind of like the left side of my neck, I do have pain from a guitar strap being pulled down. So not totally. Sonny the Duck, thank you for that super chat. Okay, so we're going to jam in A, blues in A. And so if you're only know chords, I'll say A, and you can let an A major chord ring out or an A7 chord ring out. When I say D, you can play a D major chord or a D7 chord if you know it. And then the third chord of a kind of blues style is an E chord or an E7. And that's all you that's all you need. I'll play a more complex rhythm as we go, but if you guys are working on your soloing, you can play the A blues scale. Also, you've got this great A BB box up here. Okay, so I'm going to say the chord names for the rhythm players, and if you can play a blues in A, jam along. If you were to share a clip of you jamming along on your Instagram and tag me, I'll put it in my stories, or I'll try and put a bunch of them in my stories if you guys are into that. And actually, in general, if anyone that is if you don't follow me on Instagram, I would appreciate you doing that. But if you have clips of things that you've learned from me and you tag me in little, Instagram clips, if you follow me already, you've seen I share those a lot. So just throwing that out there for you guys. All right, here we go. We're gonna play a blues in A, and one other thing I want to introduce to that is the two finger blues. So for an A chord, you can play the 5th fret on the D and the 6th fret on the G, because it's there and there. Then the 4 chord D7, you just take that shape and move it a half step down, back up to a half step to the 1 chord. And then the 5 chord E7, you can just play that a half step up. So 6 and 7, all on the D and G. So jam along. If you dare. 1, 2, 3, 4, A. So this is all A. Solo or rhythm. Now we're going to go to D. Solo along or play rhythm simply or with me or accompany me. Here we go. 1, 2, here we go. A. Now E. Down to D.
good. Chad Boston, thank you for the super chat.
Oh, super chat, Chad. Chad with the chat. Chad.
Chad Boston.
Chad Boston with the chat. Chad. Oh, thanks for all that butterscotch. Sweet little jam. Yeah, I hope you guys were having fun. Now, let me go back to that 2-finger blues for a second. So the 1 chord is 6 and 7 on the D and G. The 4 chord, half step down. And then the 5 chord is the 6 and the 7. So if I just go for a little lead tone here, you can play licks and hit those little double stop, little stabs in there to help add momentum and coolness to a solo. So like, here, let's see. So, a lot of fun to be had. Oh, and also that little double stop there is in John, you know, everyone uses it, but a classic John Mayer, or a classic, one of his classics.
Shaking the tree.
Yeah, walking the dog, shaking the tree.
FMO27 says, Marty, you taught me pretty much every song I know. I'm forever grateful. I will be doing Crazy Train for a local competition and wanted to thank you for teaching it to me. That's pretty rad.
Dude, that's awesome. Oh, I see a lot of Sweet Child of Mine. I've never heard of that before. I don't know. It doesn't exist. That means nothing to me. Sweet Child of Mine? It means nothing to me.
But you do know Slash.
Yeah, I know who Slash is from Snake Pit. He's from that band called Snake Pit. Oh, no, and Slash, no, I'm sorry, Slash had a way more famous band than Snake Pit. A huge iconic band that Slash was in, Velvet Revolver.
Right. Is that Johnny Depp? Or,
No Johnny Depp, but...
was he in a band with Johnny Depp?
No.
Vampires? LA Vampires?
That's a different band.
Oh, Slash isn't in it?
Slash is not in Hollywood Vampires.
Hollywood Vampires.
Although my good friend Glenn Sobel plays drums for Hollywood Vampires. That's true.
Oh, Joe...
No, Glenn Sobel.
No, Aerosmith. Joe Perry's in...
Yeah, it's really an Alice Cooper thing.
It is.
It's really an Alice Cooper thing with Johnny Depp in it.
Mike Wazowski says, I like sliding that double stop on the 11-12 also. Sounds yummy.
Mike Wazowski!
Yeah, Mike Wazowski.
You have kids, you know who Mike Wazowski is.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, my story with Mike Wazowski, well, we like Monsters Inc. over here, but when my kids were smaller, they're kind of teenagers now, but when they were little, there was a couple years we had passes, Southern California passes for Disneyland. You know, it was literally for the price of like 1.5 tickets. You could go all year on their, other than their blackout dates, which we wouldn't want to go on anyway. But when we used to take our kids more often to Disneyland, we'd go over to what's called California Adventure. That's where more of the Pixar stuff is. And there would never be a line for the Monsters Inc. ride. So and the kids are little, they didn't want to go on like the bigger roller coasters and stuff. So we were just always like, hey, well, let's go to the Monsters Inc. ride again. It's like one of our family rides because there was never a line. So we ended up going on that like multiple times to like keep the kids enjoying it,
They also serve alcohol at that park.
I wouldn't know that, Ryan. I wouldn't say that we would schedule our entire Disneyland experience around where the beer gardens were. I would never. It's for the kids' enjoyment. Colin Padley, thank you for the super chat. He says, I thought Americans were good tippers. Can't see many on here. And now I'm making fun of his accent. And he's the one that actually tipped me. I'm sorry about that, Colin. Colin Padley. But one of the things with me that I have not done is like remind people constantly about the fact that you can do this thing called super chat, where if you pay a little money, your chat stays there, so I'll be sure to see it. And it's also like a way of tipping people. I'm sure some people like really put a lot of energy into like reminding people about it all the time. So there's that thing called super chat that gives money to the people, and then the comment shows up. I'm sure a lot of people spend a lot of time promoting super chat, that thing where you can give people money to people. So funny. Give me your money and I will play guitar. Are you not entertained? No, I haven't pushed it a lot, nor have I even pushed the Patreon thing much, but also that's because I sell pedals, I sell guitar lesson courses, and I do get I've been getting some sponsors. I only am dealing with sponsors of products I actually really use already. So I feel great. I feel really great about having partnerships like that. But so when it comes down to a thing like Super Chat, where it's like reminding people to tip you, and then your chat comment stays up at the top, and you like talk about it pretty much for the entire live stream to tell people about it and remind them about it. I don't like to remind people of the Super Chat thing, which is that tipping mechanism on YouTube. I don't like to promote Super Chat. Does that make sense, Brian? Not promoting Super Chat?
Totally.
There's only so many things you can promote like Super Chat.
Josh Norco, more British accents, please, with a super chat.
Oh, with a Super Chat.
Yeah.
Mine's frozen here. I don't know.
And someone said, ooh, nice necklace.
Okay. I was waiting for that. It's Yes. Oh, Brian, let me throw this out there. Since someone noticed the necklace. This is just totally random trivia. I got two random trivias for you, guys, today, and then we'll do one more jam, okay? One random trivia is that actually Brian and I went to school with Pedro Pascal, who stars in The Mandalorian. Brian, do you concur with that?
Oh, yeah.
This is true. Brian and I both knew him, actually. And his name wasn't Pedro Pascal at the time. It was Peter. And we were in Orange County, California. It was Peter Balmaceda was his name. But Pedro Pascal. And, I just want to I haven't stayed in touch with him because he ended up leaving our school. Probably, I assume, to go to like a performing arts high school or something. Or he moved, or I don't know what. But what I want to say about him, and like I said, I'm not in touch with him anymore, so I'm not even like saying like he's still my friend. But Brian and I grew up with him before he was ever on any show or anything like that, and we knew him as just a dude that we remember from school, right, Brian?
Absolutely.
But he was definitely a creative type, and we worked on a school project together. I mean, we must have been like 14 years old. And I'll say Peter because he was not Pedro then, but we worked on this school project, like a creative writing project where we both worked on this thing. And so we hung out, we got to know each other a little bit. And so he's about 13 years old. And then at 13 years old, he was like, I want to be an actor. I want to be like a serious actor. I love Robert De Niro. And there's this new kid our age named Leonardo DiCaprio. I want to be like that, this and that, and this and that. So he knew way, way back what he wanted to do. And then cut to many years later, I was at a wedding with my wife. My wife and I had a mutual friend who was getting married, and Pedro Pascal's older sister, who we knew from school as well. You remember her, Brian?
I do, Javi.
Yeah, Javier, right?
Probably not.
Javi?
Yeah.
Javiera?
Yeah, maybe.
Javi?
Definitely throw the A on the end.
Yeah, right. So, but she was only like 2 years older. Pedro's our age. But my wife and I were at this wedding, and I hadn't thought about Peter in years, and he still was not on any like mainstream radar at all.
Game of Thrones.
No, it was before that.
Right.
No, it was way before that. This is about 23 years ago. So we had been out of college for a while. And I saw Javi, and I was like, hey, Javi, oh, it's good to see you, blah, blah, blah. So it'd been probably 10 years since high school, or maybe longer. And I was like, how's your brother Peter? Like, I remember he always wanted to be an actor. And she was like, yeah, he's just waiting tables in New York, He's like, never, he says he's never going to give up. And then, cut to another 10 years after her saying that. Another 10 years, he was finally on Game of Thrones. And so I just have to give him a huge shout out for like, sticking it out. And it was probably really hard. Because, like, to talk to her, it must have been about 21 years ago. And her saying that he's just living in New York, waiting, he's a waiter. He's waiting tables, auditioning, nothing's happening. And it's kind of like, it was kind of more of a depressing, like, oh yeah, we're all, the family's waiting for him to like do something legit or something like that. So it just stuck with me. I really admire
perseverance.
And that, I don't even know if he's ever talked about any of that. This is just from my own like personal connections to him.
And he's a superstar now.
And then all of a sudden he's on Game of Thrones, and he just steals the scenes he's in, and that just triggered Narcos, and then all of a sudden he's on Mandalorian, and
the bad guy in the new Wonder Woman.
Bad guy in the new Wonder Woman movie. I saw another Netflix movie that he's coming out in. I mean, he's just exploding, and like, everyone loves him and all that. And I'm not even saying it from a personal friendship thing. I'm just know for a fact that he had that dream very young, and it did not happen overnight. And he waited tables and didn't give up. And when he got in Game of Thrones, because he's our age, he was already in his late 30s or on his way to being 40 when it all happened. So he never gave up. So I just got to give a huge shout out to that guy. I'm not in touch with him, like I said. Doesn't matter. It's but I just want to give my respect to someone. I can relate to it because I played guitar for many years before, and there was a lot of ups and downs trying to do music.
Well, Thibodeau Phillips says this is the way.
Yes.
And then also quick, thank you Abraham R. and thank you Daniel Morris for the super chats.
Hey, the super chats. What are their names again?
Abraham R. and Daniel Morris.
Abraham R. Daniel Morris, you're helping get the sausage made. Okay, one other shout out, you guys, because I know he's going to give me a shout out at some point in the near future, so I feel comfortable talking about it. It's just a fun little thing. But I actually taught Mark Paul Gosselaar some guitar, who plays Zach from Saved by the Bell. I taught him a riff for a Jimmy Fallon sketch that's going to be coming.
Can you play it?
Well, it was just a riff, yeah. It's the end riff of Saved by the Bell. So it's like something like. But no, he had reached out a little bit prior to that about just connecting, and he plays guitar and stuff. And it was so funny because I watched a ton of Saved by the Bell reruns, like anyone my age probably. But I remember back the classic episode where he's playing guitar in the band Zack Attack, and he's clearly cannot play guitar. And then I recently saw a promo for the Saved by the Bell reboot, and they were making fun of that or like a play on that, and he was playing real chords. And I had never talked to him before, but I was like, oh, he learned guitar for real, like somewhere along the way. And then around that time, he reached out to me about some guitar stuff. And he's just, I gotta say, super cool dude. But anyway, he asked for some help on this riff for a Jimmy Fallon sketch that's not out yet. But he's wearing the Marty Music guitar strap in it. And he also said that I can now say I'm officially Zach Morris's guitar teacher. He said I could say that. So that's why I'm throwing that out there. I wouldn't otherwise, But so anyway, I have now contributed. I can almost retire now at this point. I know the Mandalorian, or I don't know him anymore, but I knew the Mandalorian personally when he was just a foundling. Right, Brian? When he was just a foundling. And I've taught Zach Morris guitar. So there's really not much. It's really only down from here.
Can we ask you a question, a katana question?
Yeah, katana question.
Shadow Play 08. Marty, I just got a katana, awesome amp. But I get immense noise when I'm on the crunch and brown setting. Is that normal to hear when the gain is all the way up?
Yeah, it can be pretty noisy, but what I have found, I'm going through two pedals right now. So you can hear some buzz. But when you crank a Marshall stack, you're going to hear that same kind of noise as well. But what I'll say is you can mess with turning the gain and volume down and the master volume up, or vice versa. Also, if you have a bunch of pedals, each pedal you add will make that a lot noisier. So sometimes, like when I've been teaching some AC/DC songs lately, and I'm using the crunch channel. It's my other katana downstairs, but there it is. So, that's it. Also, if you're playing through a single coil guitar, I imagine maybe you're playing through a Fender. When you have single coil, it's super noisy. I have a feeling that's what's going on. They're just noisy. But now that I have it on crunch, there's this great, I got a couple more new AC/DCs coming out, but there's a great lick that they do. With me if you know it. don't ask me which title because I've learned about 6 or 7 of the new album. There's no way I can tell you which is what, or right now could I play. I would mix them all together, honestly. But there's a new song that I taught that's not out. I haven't released a lesson yet, but they do a classic thing like this. Yeah, this riff. Which one's that? Demon Fire.
From the new one?
All right, a few shout outs and then we're done. Brian, any questions before I shout out?
Well, your bud is the bomb says he wants a mistress for Christmas, and Mike Wazowski says that whole album is fun to play along with.
The new AC/DC?
Yeah.
It really is. It's super fun. I still think there's some classic riffs in there. Like I said, they're all blending together right now just because I've learned so many so quick. Luke says Dire Straits, you're in luck. This month, Money for Nothing is coming out. Led Zeppelin Rock and Roll. Have I not done that one yet?
There's been a lot of Jimmy Page requests. I think that guitar
Yeah.
might remind people of that too.
Ted Fitzgerald, Josh Norco, always here. Boomar, Brauthority, Reed Arnold, Huge 54, Blue Jean 190, Will Merrick. How much was the new Gibson? Neil Parker Jr., not to be confused with his cousin Ray Parker Jr. Antonio de Padova, new Greta Van Fleet coming out soon? Well, I did one of their new ones recently, but yeah, I'll always be doing more. P90 sound great with heavy distortion.
Well, Puddle of Mud request.
Puddle of Mud, wow. Jake Welsh, that's a good ready-made. I used to teach that to students. I should check that one out again. Louis Forward, Sunday John, Rocco JC, Reed Arnold, Jeffrey Hoggins Sr., not to be confused with Jr., Hunter H., Corbin Cleland, Paul Brueggemann. What year is the guitar? This is a 2020, brother. Ryan Miller says Tom Petty. Always love Tom Petty. GS Strings. Sarah Markovic. Kingman says Eddie Van Halen. Ozzy Farrow, Dat Boy, GT Money, Red the Blues. Always burned a hole in. Lolo got him. Love from Italy, Antonia de Padova. Grazie. Mornor says, please say something. Mad Season by Danny Cluis is what they want. Josh Anderson, Sweet Child of Mine, please. I've never heard of that song.
People want to know when you're going to do your Cliffs of Dover lesson.
Man, who has the best lesson on that out there?
Take some time, need some practice.
No, who has the best lesson out there? Go to that video. Hey, Arjit, thank you for the super chat. He said it's been a year and a half that you picked up the guitar and you learned from me. Now he's working on his first song. Awesome! Well, you guys, I think that's it. I think it's sandwich time. Brian, I ordered us some sandwiches.
Awesome. Do you want to play him out?
Yeah, let's play him out. I'm going to go back to A. So if you guys know the A, any licks in the A minor pentatonic, go for it. Here we go.